I wonder if they see the sparkle in your eyes. I wonder if they know that I'm not your guy. I wonder if they see that you don't belong to me. Wish that you could be mine.
All right, microphone check. Therapy without a degree, chapter close to the 180s. I think this is chapter 178, 179. One of those got Mr. Zain here.
It's 179.
I don't know
because I was waiting last time.
Well, now because we had a bonus episode that I did.
So it's 180.
With Clinton, so it might be 180.
Sweet.
If it's 180, that's pretty cool because it's also our 4-year anniversary podcast.
Oh, sweet. Look at that.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a 4-year anniversary episode. 4-year anniversary was yesterday. And we got a very, very special guest in the building. What's up?
AJ.
Hello.
Yes, we got AJ in the building. What's going on?
Not much. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, we're so happy to have you. And it's so dope because of your profession and it's a 4-year anniversary. It's like finally.
Right? It took us about
it took us 4 years.
4 years to get actual therapists.
You guys haven't had an actual therapist yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
You're the first.
Cool.
First, yes.
I'm so excited to be the first.
Yes. The first one. But Zain, what you been doing, man? Talk to me.
I
didn't talk to you all day since you came here. If you notice, I've been quiet.
Oh, you waited?
Because of the pod. Guy came here. He tried throwing me off. Like, he tried getting here like 3 hours ahead of schedule, trying to have me talk to him. Like, nope. Let me just shut the fuck up.
Nah, man. I've been working on the magazine, so I've been ghost with like just everybody. I had a boudoir session that was 8 models in total, but it was like 4 on day 1 and then 5 on day 2.
You were putting in work.
Yeah.
That's too much.
You good?
Yeah, for some reason my audio was messed up. Think we're good. All right. Yeah, no. You were working, man.
Yeah. A lot of it was just like, yo, I got one Airbnb and I just had to make that work for like just different concepts for different models.
Work.
So it was a lot of talking, which is like exhausting already.
And you heard sometimes he goes days without talking.
Exactly.
This guy.
Not as often as I did before. Now I'm really talking. Now they can't just like, yo, can you not talk anymore?
What did I start? What do we do? What do we do here? But and then yesterday we had the Friendsgiving,
Which is fun.
That was cool. You know, we had that was like my little version of Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? It's funny because you said you love Thanksgiving. You said that's your favorite holiday, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's up. It's I've always liked Thanksgiving. I liked like the meaning behind it and everything, but I wasn't too crazy about the actual holiday.
Well, I was going to say it depends on what meaning. What like is like the actual way that it, came about Thanksgiving or our like American meaning like now.
Which do you like?
Clearly.
Yeah. I'm just checking. Just gotta check.
Yeah. She was like, did I walk into a trap?
No, just gotta ask.
What were you going to do if I said the earlier one?
He's like, well, this was a great podcast episode.
Somebody
everybody.
did this.
I'll be like this.
I was on.
Nah, I would just tell
You're
her
not
this.
cool to me. You're not tough to me. You're not the measuring stick of what street niggas listen
That's what
to.
I would probably responded with that one.
Oh my God.
But
yeah.
yeah. So actually about the good Thanksgiving.
I mean, that's what really like everyone kind of adopted. Like, who really paid attention? I mean, there's people. If you do, that's an interesting Thanksgiving.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? I've never been to a Thanksgiving like that. It's usually on like how it's like it's the togetherness, everybody's family. But for those who are like hardcore with it, good luck with that.
Good luck, yeah. But I wanted to throw a little twist on it. I wanted to do the Friendsgiving because I feel like I started looking around and you start seeing so many different people that go to like Thanksgiving or go to like Christmas and they don't really want to be there because maybe they don't really connect that much with their family.
Yeah, that's facts. I actually connect well with friends than I do with family.
Yeah, like sometimes those people are like sometimes more valuable to you than actually bloodline family. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I wanted to create the Friendsgiving, and I think we had a pretty nice turnout yesterday, even with Corona time and all that type of stuff that's going on. So it was cool. And then we had the food drive going on. Everyone's donating. You can still donate over there to American Eagle Food Drive over there in Lodi at the Little League. So that's been really good. And I think I don't know. You've been working on the magazine. I've been all over the place, trying to catch up on things. I was trying to take the month to relax, but that didn't happen. So it looks like December is going to be that. What about yourself? You want to tell us about your week?
Well, I work
Okay.
full time, and that's basically it. And then, aside from that, I try and do like little art projects, stuff like
Okay,
that. But
I
like
see.
I was doing the same thing where I'm like, this month I'm gonna like, self-care, take a break, and it doesn't actually happen.
Yeah. You're going to do it for December though?
I already planned for it. We'll see what happens.
Well, no. I'm holding you accountable now. You can't now. All the listeners are going to have to hold you accountable too. You know what I'm saying? Hold her accountable. December, you take it down a little bit, take it easy.
Yeah. Well, what stinks too, though, is that it's like it's not warm out, so I don't want to. I'm going to take a break and stay inside and not go out.
Yeah. Do you like the cold?
No, I hate the cold.
He loves the cold.
Who loves the cold?
You.
I don't love it. I endure it. There's a difference.
No.
I endure the cold because I used to be cold all the time, and now it's just like I feel like that's a challenge to me. If I don't let the cold like affect me, then that's like me just fighting back at the cold.
You like to fight back at it.
I like to fight back at it.
That's a challenge I don't want to endure at all.
Yeah, no. It always wins. Like the ice always wins.
And
like,
I'd be filming mostly around that time, which is nuts. I'm like, y'all don't want to film
Outside?
when it's hot. Yeah, it's always like, especially I always have to bring my own gear. So I have metal that I have. So I invest in gloves. So it's just like, imagine being cold and lifting stuff at the same time. Insane.
yo, speaking of that, would you be down to film in the snow?
Absolutely.
'Cause I got some ideas.
I have no problem filming. I did actually a little clip before, but I have no
No,
problem.
I remember that one, but like,
Yeah, I have no problem filming in the
I'm
snow.
thinking for the next episode. If
See
it
how it
does,
works.
if it snows,
Yeah, if it snows.
if it snows, I might be getting Zain out here in the snow, real rugged snow scene. You know what I'm saying? He likes to do all that funky stuff with the camera.
It depends on the camera. It's like they got to meet up to my standards.
Word. But so tell us a little bit about yourself. I don't know you. He knows you. Tell me.
Yeah. Well, what do you want to know?
Whatever,
What do you wanna
just-
know?
How'd you get started? And
Well, but before you get to that, I want to know about you. Like, what do you like? What's your favorite color?
Oh, blue.
We'll start with that. Start blue.
Blue.
Okay.
All right. So now I see where you're going, because I'm like, do you want to know about me professionally? You want to know
Oh, no,
about me personally?
we'll get to
You know,
we'll get to
like,
that.
Okay. Love having fun. Love being adventurous. Prior to COVID, I was like a big traveler.
Oh, word.
So it's upsetting sometimes now, like not being able to travel. But I got into my art stuff a little bit more. Got into like modeling, and that's how we ended up doing a
shit.
photo shoot.
word. That was an iconic shot. My favorite shot is like you sideways with the cloud above you and whatnot.
Yeah, you really worked with me. He got me to, express a couple of different emotions that I was not used to doing in front of a camera. So that was definitely interesting.
Challenge.
She was like, challenge accepted.
Yeah, he definitely challenged me.
Nah, that cloud shoot is really, really cool. I did two
Yeah, it was
versions.
fun.
I did two versions of the cloud shoot. I did one professional one with him, and then
then that went out the window.
I did the non-professional one first. I think I was just trying to get your attention.
He definitely did. You gotta do that more often.
Just start stealing all. Yo, it actually would be mad funny if I went through all your shoots
And it's just
and I did
recreated.
parodies.
Recreated
Yeah,
them?
and recreate.
You need to.
I should.
You should do that. You got
Oh,
time.
I'm doing that one next.
This one right here.
Yeah.
Yo, that might be how you blow up.
Just gluing Elmo's glue, just putting all like who's that guy always replicates this guy's photo shoot?
Yo, don't tempt me, man.
What are you gonna have a fake squid, but it's like a teddy squid or something like that?
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do with that.
Well, you can get like a fluffy animal type octopus and just spray paint it gold.
Get like a stuffed animal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yo, y'all might have got. Somebody did this.
Somebody did this.
Yes, I think y'all might have some new content from Joe coming soon.
That's gonna be funny.
But and then also on a professional side, like, yeah, what made you want to become like a therapist? Is this something that you wanted to do for a while since like you were a kid, or what? Tell us about that.
So I don't have like an interesting story in regards to that. I feel like everyone's like, I always wanted to be a therapist. I always wanted to help people. Da 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 da. No, that wasn't it for me. I think I just had a knack for people, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do when I first went into college. And I actually started with art, and then they had an art therapy degree.
Ooh, okay.
So then, but for art therapy, you have to double major in psychology and art. And then I ended up just going, for my master's in psychology, and then I became a licensed therapist.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Look at that. Gunshots for you. Gunshots for you.
Thank
Word.
That's so dope. Art therapy is really interesting. What did you enjoy about that? Like studying that?
Art therapy.
Yeah.
What I love about art therapy is that you find probably things that you wouldn't necessarily find about yourself or the other person within the art that you're not going to get from someone verbally. So it's kind of like, someone putting like a key in a locked door that like the key has been like hidden for like 30 years. And like art therapy is like that key to get into like that, like part of your brain, I would say.
To unlock those different parts.
Yeah.
That's dope. What things were like you doing like in some of the classes? What different type of like art and stuff would you say, like for examples? What do people do?
So it ranged. So sometimes we'd have to make masks. Sometimes we would have to do a scribble drawing. And this one was pretty interesting because I didn't understand at first when the professor gave it to us, like what we were going to find in that. But you're just scribbling randomly for like a good minute. And then she would say, okay, find something in this scribble, find like an object. But whatever object you find, you now have to process and figure out how this object relates to you. And what does that mean? At the time, I got a black cat, so I thought maybe I'm a little bit more cautious, trying to like figure out how that symbol is relating back to me.
Okay.
That's dope.
And it also depends on how hard the person pressed on the scribble, depending on if you could see those details, because it shows like pressure, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I had a case where the kid didn't talk. He was like on the spectrum of autism, but it wasn't like determined yet. And I said, he's not communicating. He wasn't saying anything. So I was like, I'm gonna have him draw. Homeboy drew a whole scene of what happened that day, because I remember taking him to the cafeteria and then they go outside. So he drew like all these kids around him with like, they look like demons around him. And then one of the girls, I guess that he likes, he drew her nice and whatnot. But all the other kids were written in, like they were like graved in and whatnot. Like you saw the pressure on the paper. And then the person that I forgot, I don't know if it was the social worker or like someone, a case study team, they were looking at it. Oh, it seems like it was fine. He's just drawing a picture. What? Did you read it? Like, I'm like, what's going on here?
Between
like,
the lines.
Did you read in between the lines here? Like, I knew exactly what he was talking about, and those kids are in the class that I was teaching with him, and they pick on him, and I'm like, you don't see the correlation of that? I was like, but it's just interesting that I didn't know a lot until that moment. And I was like, wow, now I know more about him. I was like, you guys should probably do more of the art with him so you could figure out what's going on.
I think too, like it takes a specific person, even like verbal therapy or like even like just being a good friend. It takes like a specific person to be able to like read between the lines, kind of the way you did. Yeah. Where like someone else is like, no, that doesn't mean anything. It takes like I think someone has to have a certain characteristic to be like, no, there's something there.
Yeah.
You can actually tell. Do you think like some people are just so like a character trait, or do you just think they're so kind of like they have so much other things in their mind that they're not even like really in tune?
I'll say this. I think it comes easier for some people than it does for others. I think, even when we were talking about childhood, depending upon your childhood, you were trained to see like different things, being maybe like more like aware of someone else because, like your dad had depression or your mom was an alcoholic, that child now has to be aware of every single thing that's going on because they don't feel safe, so they can kind of like figure out when someone feels off or, the circumstances is unsafe, where someone else maybe they don't learn that. So they're just like, no, that's, drawing. What do you mean? You know?
And also it also becomes overwhelming when you deal with X amount of students a day. You know what I'm saying? And you're looking through this and then you don't you don't think about it, because I had to spend time with him, and I see like how he's his behavior and whatnot. So then when I see how he's performing like drawing wise, I'm like, all right, there's something, because he doesn't even do this. Like normally when he draws, it's a certain way and it wasn't like pressed on. So then all of a sudden when you see that and you're like, oh no, there's something up, because there's a consistency that's off, that gets thrown off balance. If you just see that picture, oh, it's just a picture, but you don't see how he was doing previously before that. You know?
Yeah. You're right. And a lot of times just people aren't really focusing that deep, because there is a lot of things going on and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times to make those certain, like you have to actually really be focused like that, because if not, you're gonna like you said, the other teachers, they didn't even notice it, and they maybe would never want to solve the actual issue at hand or the circumstance. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of feel bad for teachers, actually, I'll say, especially when I work more in this field, because teachers, other than parents, are the ones that see the kids the most.
Absolutely.
So sometimes I feel like teachers are a whole to this, they're not trained to see these things, yet they're with these kids the most. So, if a kid goes home to like a domestic violence situation, the only other person that most likely is going to notice that is the teacher. And now that falls on the teacher. And for them to not have training to like see certain signs, like, that's unfortunate. I feel bad for teachers that are kind of stuck in that situation where they actually have a lot of responsibility for the children.
They're like a second parent, really. And that's how now these parents, they take advantage of that, and they say, no, you discipline them too on top of that. So these kids, and I teach middle school, so it's just like, if the parents aren't on top of their kids, then that means that there's not a lot of work that's going to be taken seriously, especially in terms of failing and whatnot. And you see it. It's like, so if I call home and then, oh, no, that means, I mean, if they call home, they're like, it's whatever. Or they're not really care. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes they say that to lie, but then times where it's like, nah, their parents really don't care. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that kid's going to do bad in the school, but it's just not going to work the same as you want it. And I feel like we lost that teacher-parent connection, and now the teachers are considered the parent and the teacher. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm not going to discipline your kid.
Yeah. And it's crazy too, because you're right. It's most of the time the teachers are, and especially like when they're younger, because as you get older, you have multiple different teachers and whatnot. But like, or even in some areas in schools where it's like there is just limited teachers. It's because over here we're so used to having like so many different teachers as you get older. But I believe there's probably some towns where just a couple teachers and they just teach multiple different subjects. And like you're saying, they're actually with them and like really with them side by side more than the parents. Mm-hmm. Because it's like typically, the days go by so quick. And I always say this too, like, you're with your kid. Let's just say the typical family is with their kid on the weekends. And even during the weekdays, those nights go by so quick because, typically, okay, maybe they go to an after school program. The kid's home by 5, parents are home by 5:30. Real quick, it's okay. It's cooked dinner. Everyone sits down and eat. And then it's like some homework and then almost getting ready to go to bed. There's really not even much time there.
Yeah.
So
now there is.
Yeah, now. Exactly. Now it's a whole different ball game.
Much time.
And now it's
right?
like.
Now these parents are like, oh, man, now this is what the teacher's been talking about. Yes. Yeah. That. Yeah. Now you're going to be dealing with it.
Exactly. And also that now parents are having to be teachers and seeing what they deal with and adjust with all that. And it's like.
Or they get to see what the school's been teaching their kids. Because before it was just like, oh, we teach them this subject, but they don't really sit down and see how they're being taught. Mm-hmm. Now they can actually sit in and see what's going on. Like, why? There's a lot of misinformation in here. There's cases where the parents be sitting in and they be like, I don't think that's true. I think this is a different method. And you're just like, now it's like, don't challenge the teacher too much. Challenge the system, because that. You go to school to teach these kids X, Y, Z, and then the system wants you to teach them basic stuff. That's not even up to the caliber of what the teacher can do and how they want the teacher to, they don't allow the teacher to give their full performance. We just want you to do X, Y,
and
Z.
they don't pay them. Even.
And on top of that, they don't pay them.
If the teachers did, because there's some teachers that do, some teachers do go, all out. But it's
and they
like-
don't even. And those are usually the one I've noticed. The ones that really go all out are either the newbie teachers or the extremely tenured teachers.
The new ones are like, I want to teach you everything. Just wait 3 years in, they're like,
They're
I don't
like,
give a fuck what you do.
That's exactly it. And that's how I started. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make a difference. And then I did freaking elementary school or middle school one time. I was like, wow. Here we go. Yep.
You're like, nope, not doing this again.
Nope.
Not doing that. Now, I mean, it's definitely crazy. Now it's such a big difference because now these and it's sad because of that timing. Because before the parents didn't really do. I mean, not all parents. There's a good pocket of parents that just didn't do it that much, and they thought they were doing so many things because they were paying bills and going to work.
Listen, I'll get
There
me started.
wasn't much parenting. I feel, you know what I'm saying? They rely on a lot of those teachers, and now it's like, damn, they have to deal with all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Some people, that's the bare basic. Like, I feed you and I put a roof over your head. I put clothes on your back. That's it. That's parenting.
Yeah.
At the bare basic. And that's why these kids are the way they are.
Well, I think it's also like a new, and this is obviously assuming a little bit, but I think that was also a thing, like maybe like 50 years ago where that really was like the parent's job. Like, I feel like emotional parenting only really became like, I don't want to say like popular, but, seen as just as important as like providing like shelter.
Yeah.
It's
Which is weird.
It's crazy, but you're right.
Yeah, now my mom's older, so that's how her parents raised her. And like
Yeah.
you got food, clothes, a roof, and that's parents. That's your parents.
Yeah,
And then on top of that, don't figure out your problems. Like you just get through it. Like
Exactly.
be happy you're alive, get through it. That's it.
Yeah, you got a job, it pays. All right, then what's the problem?
Exactly.
You're like,
that is very new. The whole emotional support thing.
that adds to the softness, you think, but that's just a whole joke. That's the whole
Depends.
joke.
It depends. It's all about balance.
yeah, all balance. But it is crazy though. What would you recommend to right now to parents that are maybe struggling in this time because of that, because of the whole issue with like everything that's going on, and now they actually have to parent all day and become teachers?
Well, it depends on what their issue is, but I will say, like, for the parents that are actively doing everything, to make sure to take even 15 minutes to yourself. Like, lock yourself in the bathroom and take like a bath. You know what I mean? Put those like salt things in and like read a book and say, mommy's taking me time at least for 15 minutes, because you're going to drive yourself crazy if you don't have at least like that time to kind of like put back into yourself,
Yeah, self-care is important. I realized that later, like few years ago, like by a few years I mean 2, that it's like if you're doing something for someone else for so long and you don't take care of yourself, you're gonna actually start regretting that, like just that person as a whole. And you're just like, I've never done anything for myself. So then when that person that you're doing all that thing for, and the validation that you're getting is just negative, and like, I just did all this, sacrificed all this, and then that's where that comes from. And it's like I put all my eggs in one basket, and now you don't like the eggs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I can't get that time back. But granted, if along that time they were giving them self-care, there was you create balance.
Especially when you have kids too, because
Yeah.
for me too, especially, like, I'm a big advocate for like just protecting children. Kids really aren't meant to give back to you. Like, you have kids to like teach them whatever and raise them, but they're not there to provide for you. You're there to provide for them. So when parents start needing validation from their kids, or like, why aren't you grateful for what I'm doing for you and stuff like that, it's like, well, why do you need that? Like, what is that piece that you're looking for from a child who probably doesn't even understand what that means at that point in time,
Capable yet.
yeah.
And you know what it is too? My fear though with that, like, and with all the parents right now, is not even that sometimes it's like, okay, we tell them self-care, go in the bathroom and scream for 15 minutes, whatever you got to do. But it's like, I just don't think a lot of parents have patience to teach these kids. you know? And that's the only main thing I think about now. I think about when all these parents are having to sit down with their kids, you know, like it takes sometimes, depending on the kids, sometimes a lot of patience to really sit there and teach them, you know, not beyond, obviously teachers have it hard in the classroom, and that's in a teacher setting, you know, parents like now, like, you know, if they're just doing it in their dining room or in their kitchen or whatever, it's like, I bet, and people that, you know, I don't think a lot of them have patience, you know, I think a good percentage.
Patience is like you have to practice patience. Like that's not something you're born with. Like it's nuts. And I've had patience because of dial-up. that taught me a lot of patience.
Dial-up internet.
Yeah, that definitely. You know the vibes. That definitely
sit there and wait.
Right, I had to wait for a while. So like that taught me patience. Plus, I was the only child, so I was just to myself all the time. So there wasn't a sense of urgency. Like, oh, I need this now. Like, my mom wasn't having it either. So that also played a major factor. Like, whatever I demanded, it's like you have to earn everything. So it's just like there was no, how I was raised is not, oh, I want it now. Like, that wasn't a thing for me. Everything was like chill and relax, take your time, be patient. But there's certain adults that I'm just like, yo, just relax. Oh, blah, blah. Why is it taking so long? And I'm just like, oh man, it's not everything is gonna be immediate. Like you gotta wait, and especially, and you see it how they talk to customer service too, and they take their frustration, and it's not even on that person. They're just trying to help you out, but they just let their whole anger out on this one person as if they're not people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like, you know, that's a person you're talking to, right?
Yeah.
Like they just
that, and you know what? Just from my take is too, you know, sometimes I looked and I watch. You know, I see things and I'm like, I see sometimes a lot of parents, like with the whole patience thing too, I feel like they talk to their kids and I think their kids are so much older than they are. Is that just me, or do y'all ever feel like you see that?
I've seen so many different parents come through my doors in terms of, you know, like clinical stuff. So I feel like I've seen a lot. So it's hard to say, you know, because I do think that kids are really smart and they can understand, you know, a good amount of what you're saying, but it's also like how you raise them. If you're raising them to be someone that is attentive and listens, and you're, you know, like they'll be able to understand what you're saying and articulate it. Yeah. You know, parenting's it's a hard gig, you know, and I couldn't imagine parenting right now, honestly.
Yeah, especially right now too. It's a lot of stuff going on. You know what I mean? Yeah,
this was like this was probably the greatest game changer in terms of new parenting style that everyone had to adapt. It wasn't like, oh, you know, everywhere. Like, no, the world. It was like a world update. So there's a lot of parents like, what, this online thing, now I got to be home because I don't got no one to watch these kids. And then you realize your circle of people that you're around. I can't even have like any of my friends help me out. No one paid attention to that. Like when I go out to work, so then who am I surrounding myself with?
Well, that's what's interesting too, like with work right now. Like I've had parents like just crying from like being so overwhelmed. And so that's why I'm like, okay, you know, like what is really going on? Like for like they feel like they're like being stretched in like millions of different ways. Like what is going on? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I feel like that me time was gone. Like if I came home early from work, my kids at school, I have all that time for me, and then I have to be mommy or I have to be daddy, and I have to take care of things. And maybe that kid is like, ah.
Yeah. Well, some parents too see going to work as a break. You know, like, I get to go to work. I have a break from my kids, which is completely normal, by the way.
Of course,
you know, and they don't have that anymore because they have to be home with their kids all the day and disciplining a child all day.
Yeah, like I'm working, I'm like, just constantly looking, just listening for stuff like, I hope you ain't break that thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like, damn, it's nerve wracking because you can't even have a peace of mind like, oh, they're gonna be in the room by themselves. But do I have to watch them in their room because you know what I'm saying? Like, what are they doing?
I've been in meetings too where like the kids are like screaming in the background and like I can't hear anything, but I don't have like the nerve to be like, hey, like I can't even hear what you're saying because your kid is
Yeah.
screaming because I feel so bad.
And then
Can't
they're
hear
trying
a
to
damn
like they're
thing.
just unnerved by it, and they're just like, I'm like, absolutely, what's
Yeah,
going on?
they're trying to like hope that it's not as bad as it is, and if no one's saying anything, it can't be that bad. And you're like, okay, so she just said,
I
Right?
want to write this down instead, maybe.
Yeah, like maybe transcribe that.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a whole process, man. It's tough, but everybody has to deal with like new ways of like working and whatnot. Like full time is now looking like everybody's doing like half hours and whatnot. But working from home is like not everyone has the same technology. So now you're just like, well, my computer's not fast enough. That's why I'm here at work doing this, you know? But maybe things will be better. Maybe we don't have to go to work anymore. And we just work at home.
no, I gotta go to work. I gotta
Right?
go to work. I gotta get out of
All
my
right, right now,
house.
are you at home right now?
Yeah.
Oh wait, this wire shot. There we go. There we go. There we go. I'm good. So you're at home right now? I don't know. Maybe now. I keep cutting out a little bit.
Don't let it touch the headphones.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Let me just
Yeah.
There we go. Technical difficulties over here. But right now you're working at home?
Yeah, I'm working full time at home and I hate it.
You want to go back?
Yeah, well, also too, like I'm such a people person and I value like in-person type of like whatever, get together meeting, you know, whatever it is, I rather do it in person.
Yeah.
So it's hard being at home.
So right now you're doing what, everything via Zoom and all that?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're busier now because of everything that's going on, or?
No, I have so much more time.
Mm.
So much more time.
What do you do at that time?
Artwork. I'm trying to be healthy, like exercise and stuff because I'm not moving anymore, you know? I don't want to go to the gym and wear a mask on the treadmill. So I'm like, how the heck am I going to work? You know, like how am I going to exercise right now? So like trying to think of those things.
It's bad.
Well, my mom, she's been using YouTube on her Fire Stick and just working out in the living room.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that's a method for her that works because she used to go to Lucia Roberts and she sees them do it and she just does it herself.
Okay, got it.
And that's like the method. So that's just one option for those of you who want to work out. Just go on YouTube and just kind of do what they do. I did Insanity
but it's
just
so
a warm
different.
up and I almost died. The warm up. And I couldn't even do that. That was insane.
I actually bought that. I did the Insanity for a little bit a few years back, and it was legit.
No, it was legit. I was like, yo, this the warm up. I was literally a wet noodle on the ground. That's how I'm like, this is intense.
Yeah, and when he says it too, like he's like, "Yeah, it's the warm." Like the warm or what? Like what are we? Wait.
Like
We're here for 30 minutes.
right. Like the rock climbers, done. Like those are the ones that do it for me.
Yeah.
But it is such different though. Like I love actually being in the gym versus just doing it at home. And I've been going to the gym, and I ain't gonna lie, yo, it's been tough. Like I went earlier this morning, and you know I'm trying to run with the mask, and I already can't breathe. Like now. You know what I mean? Like I just can't. I already have a hard time. Like I have asthma and I can barely breathe through my nose. So wearing that mask, yo, and then today I tried running with it. Yo, I ain't gonna lie, it definitely took off time. And I was like, I know I could do. I was like, I know I could run at least a little bit more than this. And I was like, but you can't.
I have to be honest, I think it takes a very specific type of person, like a strong person, to be able to run with a mask on. I even see people outside running with masks on. And I'm like, why?
You're not even supposed to do that. That's one.
Why?
Yeah, they just some people just that's a whole other conversation in terms of
Like,
that.
yeah,
But
why would you do it outside?
But also, how? How do you do that? How can I be like you? I need to know.
me, I can tell you how I do. I don't breathe as heavy as most. So I have like not that I'm a short breathed, but like I breathe and I have there's a long interval before I breathe again.
Yeah, he forgets
How
it.
do you
He
know?
wears his mask a lot because he forgets he still has it on.
I forget it's on.
And I'm like, bro, Like, I'm worried about his breathing because I see him and I'm like, bro, we don't need it no more.
And he never hears me like, like it's just
still
like
wearing it.
and it's just because me without it, I'm already breathe light anyway.
Yeah.
So then with the mask on, it's like it doesn't do too much. So then I can actually run with it on, but it's just like I know, like I'm a track runner, so I know how to breathe a certain way.
Right.
So it's like I control my breathing, but it was just like I can't see other people wearing their masks like all day. Like that's insane. And especially go to the gym. It's like not only you learning how to like the interaction. How do you feel the interaction is of people like in group settings? Like say if there's like, oh, you could be with 4 people at a time. Like the interaction is different. I've noticed people forgot to talk to people. Like a certain way to talk. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not the same how it used to be. And like I feel like some people have been so distant from people. Like, damn, how do I talk to people again? Like because you're not practicing your tone, you're not practicing your cadence. You kind of just you don't know what to do.
Now I do notice that. I noticed it because at the live show I was able to tell some people were like people went, they showed up, and everyone had a great time. But I was able to tell that people were definitely like looking a little awkward, and it was like some of them like I even some of my friends were just like, well, it felt weird to be out.
I felt that way more in the beginning. Like now, I think I like took full range of the summer, you know?
Yeah.
But prior to that, like I remember getting annoyed with people and I'm like, what am I going to, like this my job is literally talking to people and being understanding. And I'm finding myself being so annoyed with people like, just get over it. I'm like, oh my God, I need to do something.
Like, what's going on here?
Right?
Nah, but it's because, when you almost like you don't realize, but you feel like you're almost conditioning yourself, by being stuck in the house, not being around people, and that type of stuff matters. I mean, even like we were saying too, it's kind of scary. Like some people are afraid to even talk with you. Like it's sad sometimes. Like, I'll even walk my dog and it's like you're walking a dog, walking Princess, and you see other people on the opposite side and they fucking cross the street. And it's like, people do it because they don't want to get so close. And it's like, damn, the world is just getting, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like people are scared to even be around other people.
It's gonna pass. I'll tell you that. Cause there's other, this is not the first time. They had people back in the day with crazier masks, like a full mask. I forgot. I think it was in
the Spanish influenza.
Yeah. It was, I was like the fact that was like 100 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I think what's different now is that we are not prepared as like a universal society to ever expect like something like this would happen. I think back then, like you were more prone to like diseases and stuff like that because, there wasn't all this technology, there wasn't all this medicine.
Travel.
Right. And now it's like we never thought that this would ever happen to us because we're so advanced. And in every country, so I don't think anyone ever expected to be in this place. No, I definitely didn't.
Yeah, and especially like, it was 2020 was a new year. That's cool, but I didn't consider it a year. I was thinking about like the situation when it happened because everything was like, all right, we were going through fucking crazy war in January. Mm-hmm. Then
so many things
happened.
Wasn't there like the wildfire in Australia?
Yes, it went from it was like shootings and whatnot. Then it was the wildfires, and then there was the war scare, and then
there was a couple of different shootings.
Yeah,
too.
And then the moment like COVID hit, it was just like boom.
Well, because they made it such a serious thing.
That was the biggest thing that just happened. And for months, and you just like, wait a minute. Like you thought, oh, this is like the month episode or something like that. This is going to pass because we're going to have a new thing for the next month. And then this was like, no. This is real. Like everybody's dealing with this. And then then the lockdown happened. People were like, wait, what? What happened?
And they're saying it's probably going to happen again. I mean, even the whole mask thing, like they're talking the mask to be almost required until like 2023.
Yeah, I felt like we were gonna. I feel like we're gonna have to wear masks at least for the next 5 years or something.
Yeah, they're gonna take this like because at the rate it's going, and I think my random belief. I just think it's just Corona is just gonna be always there now.
I think
it's just gonna keep circulating.
Well, we need vaccines.
I hope.
I think right, like to.
Yeah, they want us to do the vaccine, but my thing is this. This is a prediction. And if they go
Okay,
back to
let's
this,
see. Let's see.
this is what's gonna happen.
Let's see.
I've always told this. Maybe Joe remembers or not, but I said that when people are gonna text, right? People are gonna text so much that they're gonna charge people to talk, right? That's what which is
Imagine
what
that.
they do, kind of like now. And I said, and now the thing is, I'm saying like people have to pay for water, so you have to pay for food. The next big thing is oxygen.
He said that before. He did say that.
Listen,
And I was like, all right, man, that's
If gas
That's
goes,
not right.
if gas goes, and like we need new resources, so we find alternative things, and then we have to pay for that anyway. But the next big thing is oxygen. So if I have everybody wearing masks, and you want clean air, then you could pay for oxygen tanks,
You know they have oxygen bars.
Sip the juice. I got enough to
which
go
I'm
around.
sure is going to flourish.
Possibly.
Especially like it's gonna be like a dispensary for like weed. Essentially, it's just oxygen.
Oxygen.
which is fucking crazy.
It's crazy.
I'll
but
breathe the dirty stuff. I don't care. I'm not paying for that.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
and that's what I think is going to, because if you're saying in the next 5 years, then you're gonna get a mask, and then people are not gonna want to take off the mask. They're gonna look at you weird for not wearing a mask, or you're wearing a basic mask because you're not having like the clean air oxygen. And then that's gonna it's gonna open a whole new front for how people's houses are made, where you're gonna have like an oxygen tank, and your house is gonna be airtight.
We'll see.
I just dropped crazy gems.
I know.
That's for a market that hasn't even been created yet. It's like solar
Don't give them any ideas, man, because you know they be listening to this podcast.
They do.
They're gonna go to Shark Tank with
They're gonna they listen to us like every time.
I was like, why you know they take our stuff, so
Every single time, they it's crazy. It's just crazy. Somebody's listening. Somebody did this.
But that's my prediction of what's gonna happen in terms of,
Somebody did this.
and that's gonna be the process of how we're gonna interact. Like kissing is gonna be obsolete.
Stop.
Oh, nah, that's trash.
No.
Listen, like hugs are already weird. Right? You can't even hug someone unless it's like someone close or you live with them or something like that. Like hugging, like people like, oh, do I hug? Oh, all right, give the elbow
Oh,
real
yeah,
quick.
Nah,
you know what I'm
man.
saying? Like that's
I'm
what
going to
we-
Mars. I'm going somewhere, man.
I hope that doesn't happen.
I hope it
we
doesn't
come
either.
back from this.
I really do. I really do hope we come back from this, because I said it's gonna be a phase, and then we won't have to deal with that anymore. But honestly, the way things are going, that would be where the direction would be going, and then the opposite would be obviously we're back to normal, because people want to touch people. You know what I'm saying? Dating was already weird. Like what are you gonna do? Yeah, you gonna be in a bubble meeting someone else, like the other guy on YouTube and whatnot. He droned the girl. Like her, like, and he like asked for her number, and then they went on a bubble date. Like they were like in the bubble, and they were on a date in New York.
Well, in order to make sure like society lives, people do have to procreate and touch each other. So I'm hoping that does not happen.
That's gonna set a whole new market. It's a whole new market. But it's funny but everybody's always, they're talking about wearing masks. I'm like, y'all, don't get me started. Like, y'all, there's STDs out there, right, guys?
Yeah, no. I think eventually people are just gonna get sick of it. Like someone's gonna get like right now. A lot of people conformed to it. I feel, and a lot of people were just like, yeah. They didn't really do it. They didn't really check the signs and see them. I think eventually people are gonna just be like, nah. Like I'm sick of this shit.
I'm okay to wear a mask inside a place like a store, like walk in and out. I'll do that. I'm not wearing one outside.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
kind
of course.
I'm like, listen,
Makes no
it's
sense.
legit oxygen outside. Like,
Yeah.
unless I'm walking through a crowd, that makes sense. But if I'm outside and there's no one around me, why am I wearing a mask?
it's so funny.
Like,
Yo, can you imagine working for 8 hours in a place like that? Like if you were in your office, you had to wait that shit for 8 hours.
No, and in fact, when I randomly want to go to the office, I have to wear a mask. And if people come into my office, I have to wear it. I don't wear it. Like I'm like stand at the door. I'm not wearing a mask inside my office.
right?
Nah, I feel you.
It's different.
And I can't hear you. too.
Yeah, it's tough to
I
hear.
can't hear you.
Yeah, it's like it's muffled, and I'm like, I can't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it's just like, and I always look at people's lips and like I like pay attention to that, like when they talk,
Yeah, no,
because
you
sometimes I
can't.
miss the words, and then I see how they mouth it, and then it's like, what are you gonna do when someone's sitting there and they're talking? You can't even see if they're smiling or not. That bugs
Yeah.
me out. I can't. Like you're not
Yeah.
like I don't know if you're happy. Did I say something upsetting? And usually I see it in the mouth before I see it in the eyes.
Well, I smile at so many people too. Like, when you go to the store and you catch eye contact,
Yeah.
I'll always throw a smile.
Now
And
it's
they
just like
don't
you
see
staring.
Yeah, now it's like,
Now I'm just staring at people, but
Nah.
I'm smiling. But it doesn't look like that.
I'm gonna start this now. I haven't seen them yet. I'm gonna make see-through masks.
They already did it.
They got
Yeah,
them.
they
They
did
got them
that.
ready to see-through
Yeah,
joints.
yeah. But it is creepy though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
It's
Nah, the
pretty
creepy ones are the ones with the smile on the face, like
Oh,
the
or
fake
they
smile.
print out the face of you and then the smile and whatnot.
Yeah.
But they have ones where it's like a plexiglass type of material. and
Which
then
one would you wear today? Would you wear the Zayn happy face one or the Zayn sad face one?
Probably the sad face one. That's a whole other conversation.
People will always think that you're sad and
Yeah.
you'll be really smiling.
But I'm really laughing. Like, how are you laughing and smiling at the same time? It's a conversation starter.
they gotta sell it as like a 3-pack.
well, that's what the Joker did.
Exactly.
Like in the movie.
Exactly.
No, it's a thing.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's like a good thing or like a healthy thing.
it's a thing.
Yeah,
It's a
but
thing.
it's a thing. People do it. All right. So that was an interesting mask topic, but yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it. Like for 8 hours, I'm like, no, fuck that. Like, thank God I work for myself.
Yep.
If not, I don't know how I'd be able to work at one of these places like for 8 hours wearing that shit. But we'll see when we all get back to normal. You know what I mean? But how you been enjoying it? So since it wasn't nothing, like you said, you were thinking about really until college. How do you enjoy it now? Do you want to continue doing it? Do you see yourself doing this for a while?
Yeah, I'll probably be doing it for the rest of my life. The nice thing about the mental health field is that it's so broad that you can really I can go from, doing like a private practice to then joining an organization and specializing in eating disorders or specializing in substance use or, just working with adults to just working with children. There's so many different things that you can do, even like a podcast, right? Like there's so many therapists that just have a podcast, but so there's just so much range,
Exactly.
So I'm sure that what I'm doing now is I'm just supervising a team of therapists, making sure that they're giving the proper treatment to whatever families that we see. Hopefully in a couple of years I'll start doing art therapy again, in a private practice.
That's what you want to specialize in, like art therapy?
Yeah.
Do you feel like a lot of people get that let's just say just do regular art and they're artists, and do you feel like they are helping themselves heal without realizing it?
So yes. So in general, I think that any sort of expression of oneself, whether that's art, music, theater, something like that, where it's tapping into the other side of the brain is definitely healing. But there's a clear distinction between that and art therapy. So yeah. So some people tend to mix it up, tend to think it's one and the same thing, and it's not. But I do think that art is very healing.
What would you call that?
Healing arts.
Because it's funny because since it can't be called art therapy, what would it be called?
Honestly, I just think it's an expression of oneself. You know what I mean? You're letting something that you're holding on to come out in that way, and when you're accessing a different part of your brain, that it makes it easier for that to come out,
Exactly.
And that's for the people that you're not thinking too much when you're doing the art. When you have that intuitive feeling inside and you're like, I'm just going to go with this. I don't know what this means, but I'm going to go with it. That's you letting something out. You know what I mean?
What if you're literally intending on it to be like what if you're doing a painting and you're just I feel mad. I just want, and you draw something like almost kind of you said with a kid, but a little different. Or if you're writing a story and you're upset or you're depressed, so you kind of write a depressive story and using your emotions out into that and expressing your feelings on how you feel.
Yeah.
Into the story. What would you call it? Something like that.
That's expression too.
Okay, expression.
I think like, because especially when I was in art school, when you have to do very specific like studies, very specific topics, you have to do things a certain way, and it's more about foundation than it is about an expression of oneself. That's where it's like, okay, that I don't know if that's necessarily like healing so much, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you're not really trying to heal it. You're just kind of maybe
You're just learning something. Yeah, you're learning like how to draw. Or you're learning like you're learning the foundations of art. You're not really like probably drawing something that you even want to draw.
Or like, what if you do the art and you almost feel like you're releasing that energy? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So like, if like,
you'll feel it too. Like there's even been times where I was drawing something and I felt like I wanted to cry, and I didn't know why. It just like, you know, started coming out. Like I started feeling a certain way. Like that's when you know too, if you're releasing something, you'll start to feel a different type of emotion or something.
So then you would categorize that different.
Yes, because art therapy, you need to have some, a licensed person there to then process the artwork with you. And an art therapist is trained to see things within the art, certain symbolisms, certain type of, storylines that are in it, and is able to kind of help you navigate that and see that for yourself and like work on, whatever trauma or whatever is going on. So that's why it's different. And with art therapy too, I think that's why I like it so much, is that there's an expression of oneself. So you get that healing aspect of it, but then you're also processing it with a therapist with things that you don't see or you don't talk about. I did a lot of art therapy with clients that had eating disorders, and I realized once I was doing a lot of art therapy with them how much they were able to lie verbally, how much they were able to just like manipulate, what was going on for their control, and once you put, ask them to do art therapy and they're doing something that they're no longer used to doing, you start seeing stuff unfold, things that were just inside of them come out, and they're just as shocked as you are.
Yeah. Do you feel like the art has to be very specific when you're doing that, or could you just choose art and then do the art therapy afterwards?
The art doesn't have to be specific, although art therapists are trained, especially like with someone that has a lot of trauma, you're not supposed to use any sort of fluid type of medium. So any sort of like watercolor or paint, something that's like fluid that actually it makes it more traumatic for them. There's something about the fluidity because they don't feel in control anymore because the stuff is kind of like going everywhere. So you have to build someone up to that place of being able to use certain mediums. So that's like interesting too. So like all these different mediums are actually connecting with your body in a certain way, and art therapists are learning what those things are, you know what I mean? So we'll know, you'll know whether to tell someone, okay, let's start with like pencils, or let's start with like a sandbox or clay or whatever.
How broad are we talking though? Are we talking like art as in like I consider that art? Like could someone literally look at that and go based off of the makeup artists and the photographers and kind of dig into that?
Well, okay, so that's a little bit different because a bunch of people were at play with that. But, if someone wanted to maybe, and also to like say an art therapist wanted to work with Zain and figure out, what's going on for him deeper, like even, and I'll say this, like even when he was having me express ranges of emotions, that tells me something about him. You know what I mean? Not every photographer is asking me to make these like ugly faces or these, these, all these like ranges of emotions. So someone can pick up on that and like maybe figure out what he values more over something. So if he's constantly dedicating his time to photographing people, he probably, values people and interconnectedness more than maybe he values like more like nature, landscape types of things that don't involve people at all. And you can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I'm interested because I started off doing landscape and nightscape stuff, and then, but I'm actually cool with that. That's how I started. Okay. And then eventually I was working with, I was taking pictures of inanimate objects, and I was like, I want to take pictures of people. So when I study the subjects more, so in terms of like pictures that stand out to me is usually something that depicts an emotion, but very candid, like things where I'm just capturing moments that is in your mind. So how I had with you, I give you a scenario, and then whatever you think about, I take a picture. Because whatever I saw, I'm like, all right, I mentioned this, and her face did this, and I'm gonna take a picture of that. And then that's usually what I work with, opposed to just do a pose, and then there's a lot of facial expressions that are very monotype to me, and like it doesn't really speak to me. But if I tell you to do that pose and then think about this, and then you do something with your face, and then that's what I capture.
So, like, a therapist may think or theorize, like, maybe authenticity is valuable to you. You know what I mean? Like, seeing, like, authentic emotions coming out from someone. Or, you know, we were talking about you, like, you know, laughing but being sad at the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's interesting for you to see how people are expressing their emotions. Like, when they're sad, are they smiling, or are they, you know, frowning? Are they doing something else? And being able to kind of figure that out, you know, so it could be so many different things.
That's definitely interesting, because most of my characters that I draw, not happy. They're usually like very like in the moment of like, it's not so much sad. It's kind of just like very just stern and like very a loner expression, like very just to themselves.
You could also be interested in people expressing their emotions because you feel like you have a hard time doing it yourself. So you're like, what does that actually look like? You know what I mean? It could be like that too.
Yeah, exactly. I do a lot of like studying, just like what does that feel like? How do you feel during this moment? How does that make you feel? And then I like, oh, okay, because when you at home, I didn't have range from my mom of expression. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that's where I guess in my work I seek what's different ranges than just two ranges of happy and angry.
Yeah. So you're probably still like, again, another theory, like trying to figure out what ranges of emotions actually are, because you're not used to seeing it.
Yeah.
So it may even be hard to navigate it with someone else where it's like, okay, they're smiling, but are you like, what are you? Because I still don't know, you know, because you're not used to that.
Yeah.
So that's where someone would probably like an art therapist would start off with, and then, you know, kind of go from there and see what happens.
Now, also on a flip side of that, like, let's just say someone, like we talked about, okay, maybe some expression would be someone that's actually doing the art, right? What about someone that like enjoys the art? Like, and that maybe feels like that heals them. Like they feel like that heals them. So let's just say like I love music, right? And I feel like music could be the therapy. So I love, and then the music will bring out those emotions and help heal and put pieces. What would you call that?
I think that would just be an expression, you know, as well. I think that's why music is so popular now. You know, popular any day, all day, right? That's like one of the most like universal things, is because when you listen to a song, you feel whatever that, you know what I mean? Whatever you're listening to, or like, you know, I don't know if you guys do this, but like if you're sad, sometimes you'll listen to sad songs so that you can cry more or something.
Yeah, it made no sense. Like I would be in a breakup, I would listen to the saddest songs that it's just like, why am I listening to this? Or if I'm in love with somebody, I started listening to a lot of R&B stuff, but like them expressing how they feel for that person within the song. And I realized that my music, like especially when I was in middle school, or not middle school, high school, I still have my MP3 player. Give that child a hug. The level of songs that was going on between, it's just all over the place. And I'm saying to myself, like, yo, what was I going through? But you could hear like the music that I was going through. Like, just, like it's connected. I did an exercise too one time where I had like it was a group art therapy thing, and I had them all pick a song, like all the clients pick a song, and I said I'm gonna put it on a playlist. When the song comes on, just draw, you know, and see what comes up for you while you're listening to this song. See if like any symbols come up for you, or what this song, you know, means to you. And we played like ranges of happy songs, sad songs, you know, and then we laid all the art pieces out, and you could see the different, you know, ranges of what the music inspired, you know, in this artwork just from listening to it. Because there's an emotional piece of, you know, that comes with listening to music.
Exactly. And I do feel like what you're saying, how sometimes you'll be sad and you'll listen to sad music. I think that's almost kind of like something like your self-conscious is like almost wanting to open up certain boxes that are closed. Like you feel like if I listen to this music, it will help me unlock some of those boxes and it will help me heal. Because it's like, you may feel that you need some type of healing or you need to go through some type of pain, but you'll maybe want to listen to those records or those songs because it's not like you don't want to like double down on the pain, but you feel like it will just help you unlock those things. So that's what the first thing I think of when you say like when we do that, because I feel like people do that. And also though, on another side to it, I think sometimes that could be like really detrimental, and I think it can make things worse.
Definitely. So
Sometimes,
and I'll tell you why. And I don't remember this rapper's name, but maybe you guys can help me out. I remember having a series of young teenage clients that were very suicidal, and they identified with
Triple X?
Yes, they identified with him.
The kid that passed away.
Oh,
XXXTentacion.
XXXTentacion.
He was
He
very
committed suicide, did he not?
No.
He got shot.
He got shot.
but
his songs
his
were
music
suicidal.
was his music was very suicidal, and kids like 11, 10, 13 were really like falling in love with this kid. Like,
I know some friends that love.
Yeah, me too.
and
You know what
I
I'm
just-
saying?
And they identified with them, which is it. Okay, that part's great. I get it. You feel alone. This person's saying they're alone too. You feel like you have a connection. But with like young kids like that, when they're impressionable, they think that suicide's their only way out, or they think, and now also on top of it, they idolize you. So now they're like, well, everything you say is like gold to me. So.
And they've mentioned this in certain medias where it's just like music does influence people, but certain music artists influence people. So they had that same conversation with Lil Wayne one time, and he was just like, "I'm not your kid's role model," and then he's like, "I don't give a f." And then that was
That's
it.
good.
Yeah, and it's true that he's not the role model, and it's true that these parents need to be a role model for their own kids.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to teach them like this is, you can idolize who you want, but I'm gonna break it down to you on what someone is, that has great leadership qualities. If you don't explain that to your kids, they're gonna see that as a sense of leadership and a sense of something to idolize. You know what I'm saying? Because what's happening is because I can relate to it, I begin to idolize. And that's what these kids don't know how to separate on what they're idolizing might not be the best for them. So with X, I've listened to his music and and he expresses his anger through the music and whatnot. And people relate to that because then there's a lot of kids a lot of males especially, they don't know how to express
or how to process
process this.
Like they're sad and his sad is different because
it's different.
Like,
So it's very tough for them to be like, it's already tough to be, oh yeah, I'm feeling like this without being called soft. That's what ends up happening, especially in middle school. You can't talk about your feelings without people saying, "Oh, that's soft," because the people who are telling you that don't know how to process their feelings.
I think it's hard though, and I will say this, and I think and this probably goes to putting a lot of pressure on celebrities, but if you're gonna be like out in the limelight, like you're kind of somewhat responsible for how people are like, seeing your work or viewing it, and but that also. That sucks for them. You know what I mean? Because, at some level you probably can't be a human being. But, like even with Robin Williams, when
tough.
he commits suicide. So with celebrities, they've noticed studies where when a celebrity commits suicide levels go up after that.
Really?
yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. Like it could be any celebrity. And if their following is impressionable or something, and they're like,
Because
well,
people will
he's
think that's
he's
the way
rich,
out. Yeah.
he's famous, he has a great family. If he's going to do it, how is there hope for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that and I didn't even know that the statistics went up. Not that it would, it went down or anything, but I just felt like people saw that as a means of like, wow, that's, let me slow down, think about things before I make a decision like that. But if it goes up, it's just like some people, I had a teacher explain this to me. He said people don't do suicide because that's what they want to do. It's because they see that's their only option available to them. If there was other options that they had, then they're more likely to go to the opposite. They don't want to necessarily take their lives. They only see that on the table as the only option, as the out. If
Suicide is kind of like the last resort.
it's the last resort. And I was like, I never thought about it. I was like, oh yeah, they just wanted this, like, yeah, that's it, guns blazing and call it a day. No, that's just one of the options that is only thing on the table. Like I said, if I said you want coffee and then the only thing on this table is Starbucks, you're gonna drink Starbucks. You know what I'm saying? So that I feel like I always tell people, especially if they're feeling like that, I'm like, listen, I'll talk about like what they like, and I start creating options for them in their head, and then like, yeah, definitely try that, and I just keep throwing more. The more options I throw, and you'll see that with negotiators who talk to the people who are like on the edge and whatnot, they give them so many options before they do anything. The more options you give,
they will also, like, people that are suicidal or have thoughts of suicide, they go through a period of seeking help, but the help may not look like help to you. So like a lot of like attention seeking type of things, or they'll go to the doctor's office and be like, I don't feel well, or they'll do a bunch of different things before they feel like that's their option, and that's why, especially I feel like sometimes attention seeking type stuff is like frowned upon, because it's like you only want that for attention. But I'm always thinking in my head, okay, well, why do they want attention so bad? You know what I mean? Don't turn them away just because they're seeking so much attention, because that's probably coming from a painful part of something that they're dealing with.
Yeah, no, of course. There's nothing wrong with giving people attention. It's like it can get annoying sometimes on the other end if you don't want to give that attention. But it's like, yeah, sometimes people just need that attention. They require it. What would you say is that fine line that we were talking about for like the music and whatnot? So it being a point of helping you to then where it's like, okay, then it's just influencing you.
Yeah.
And being too much. What's that balance?
Well, I think you just need to be aware of it. Like if you're really sad, I don't know if it's like listen to a sad song for 5 minutes if you feel like it helps you get it out. But, at some point in time, shift it. Like now start listening to like, happier songs or, something else. Like don't keep dwelling. Like don't keep listening to the same thing over and over. Like I remember one time I had this client where she had an eating disorder, and any time that she like relapsed essentially and went back to her eating disorder, she played the same song over. Like after she was done doing whatever, she would play this song, and it was almost like an ode to like the eating disorder. And to me, I was like, you're creating a stronger bond by adding the music in, because we have emotional attachments to music. Like you're making it more like emotional for you. So maybe, if you feel like you're going to relapse again, try not to play the song and see like how you feel after that. See if something changes for you. So like that's where, music can maybe not help so much. You got to just be aware of what you're listening to, and if it affects you in a negative way, if you have an unhealthy attachment to it or a healthy one.
Yeah, because you're making it like a thing. Mm-hmm. You're making it like a thing, like a whole, especially in it too. And if like, I feel like if you almost have like an addictive personality, you're just going to keep chasing that thing, and you don't realize that's like just feeding the fire.
Or it's like, you hear this, like, if you like smoke marijuana and stuff, but you have that song you always listen to when you smoke marijuana, you know what I mean? Like you're creating that emotional attachment to like smoking weed. And I know that, people that, this was like in the earlier times when I feel like, marijuana was illegal and it was less like, you couldn't do it as much. People would tell you to stop listening to the song that's attached, because it's going to make you want to smoke the weed.
Yeah, of course.
I smoke weed every day.
Yeah, you're right. It's crazy what a lot of that does. Music. Like I noticed that with myself. A few years ago, like I would listen to some dark ass music. But it was good. Like it was helping me for a while. But then I noticed at one point I was like, nah, I gotta switch this up. Like,
I actually listen to music when I do work. I listen to lo-fi music, because the music helps me stay centered when I do my work. So then when I work on like editing, like the magazine, I actually listen to like house music, but it'll be the same artist, because he creates like an hour playlist,
right?
And it'll be like Oliver Hilden, and he has like every week he drops something. Listening to that, he could, every time it goes to another hour, whatnot, it just puts me in the zone, because it's like tedious work, and I was like, I need to be entertained for this tedious work, because the music is different paired with the tediousness.
Yeah, it's the same thing like listening to music when you exercise. You want that like pump up stuff because it's gonna make you want to keep going. Like even when
Yeah.
you're like, no, I think I'm done. Put on that like song, and you're like, yeah, I can run a mile now.
Yeah, this
You
is
know?
Yeah,
be
you're
those
right.
songs.
It'd be that. Music does a lot.
does.
Like,
Yeah.
for me, I felt like for a long time, like I was just like holding shit in, wasn't expressing nothing, wasn't even trying to heal anything. And the music I would listen to, kind of, I wasn't really like, I would go just in pockets. Every once in a while, music would help. Then I got to a point where I was getting into music that was like extremely helping me heal and extremely making me like think and process things. And it was dark, but it was actually helping me out. I felt, it's helping me dig deeper and, go through the processes. But then it was like, all right, well, I feel like I've already kind of laid everything out on the table and I'm still listening to the music.
Yeah.
I got and I had to catch myself like, all right, I got to chill. And then you redirect that energy and then you go to a music that will actually give you positive energy.
Yeah.
But you can almost like kind of flood yourself into where it's like, oh, I'm done. Like, I don't need that no more. And you're still listening to the same records.
Yeah.
I've definitely caught myself with that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. A lot of dark Joe Budden music.
But I got a topic for you. This is like it's a question. I'm not gonna really say too much. I'm just gonna ask the question, and I'm gonna just have you respond to it.
Okay.
It's not a personal question. Y'all ever notice that the relationship is only at stake when the woman is unhappy? And that's just a general question.
So basically, it's just assuming that when the male is unhappy, that it's never questionable.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
This could go like a lot of different.
It's so many
ways.
ways. I could tell you like certain ways where it's like I could give on both perspectives. Why does the guy has to be unhappy and blah blah. There's just so many ways to interpret it. But like I want to hear it mostly from you. It doesn't matter what side you're on. I just want to know like how do you feel about that as a whole.
So I'll tell you what my first thought is. Sometimes I don't know when the man is unhappy.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel like, or it's like you get a feeling that they're unhappy, but when you ask them like, are you okay? Like, do you need me to do? No, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Okay. Like it doesn't feel fine. You know what I mean? So that's why I said, like, I think it depends. Like I would love if men express themselves more, but I know it comes with, these like ideologies of, expressing yourself as weak or, you have to be the, strong one. Like you have to be the superhero type thing. And even like as a woman, like sometimes I have to catch like my automatic thought of like when a guy gets emotional, like, sometimes I'm like, what's happening? And then I'm like, okay, no, it's okay. Like I have to almost like talk myself out of it and like realize like, no, like this is good, right? This means like,
Yeah.
So I could say that like those things are still at play. And sometimes, I'm not, it's hard. It's definitely a complicated question, but that was my first thought is that sometimes I don't know when the guy's unhappy, or it's usually the guy's not expressing his unhappiness, or what ends up happening is that they then do behaviors that makes the woman unhappy. And then that's why now all of a sudden, like it's come to light.
I think it's a very indirect response on the male side to let the woman know that they're unhappy. But I feel like they make it this weird decision, which kind of trickles to them putting themselves in a sense of entrapment, especially like in a situation where she does, like maybe I can't say to you, oh, you make me feel unhappy. I don't feel really like, I don't feel like you care and whatnot. So then I start to like drift away without saying that. And then someone else that shows me that it pulls my attention because now that person is starting to make me feel like that. And then instead of avoiding that, maybe that person didn't realize and it's let's fix it and work on it. They create an action and then that leads into cheating. And I feel like, granted, if more men express themselves instead of thinking, oh, she's gonna think I'm weak or whatever the case may be, that might change things. And for the better or for worse. Maybe you say I care, maybe you say I don't care, maybe you need to be a man about it. And I think the fear of the rejection within the relationship, which is a thing,
Okay.
because there is rejection within the relationship, they want to avoid that altogether.
Like someone rejecting your feelings of being unhappy.
Yeah, or just reject like certain things like in a relationship. Like say, for example, you like doing maybe like very dangerous and risky things and whatnot, but you know that person's like, oh, that I don't like. They have this negative, like ideas and sanctions on it, like oh, blah blah. People who do this is X Y Z. And then you start yourself like, oh, I can't do that because then that validation. It's like they're rejecting a piece of me, so I guess I'm gonna eliminate that piece of me. And then there's all these rejections within it. But then instead of defending it or saying like, oh, if I'm being offensive and not compromising with how they feel, that means that I don't really care about the relationship.
Right.
And it goes this is like a trickle of things. So and then it goes to this whole thing of doing nothing.
Right.
So they show that they're unhappy, but then they kind of brush it off and everything's cool. Dust it off, what I'm saying, rub some dirt on it, and it's very important. Like, how would the woman know if the guy's unhappy? What men, what do we do to let the ladies know that we're unhappy?
Say something.
Most men don't. Most men.
I don't remember me doing like I've been more vocal, like, and I try to do it every month because sometimes you leave it unchecked for like a year and plus. So I make mandatory every month. It's like we gotta talk.
You have check-ins on both sids.
On both sides, you know what I'm saying? Because and it works. It does work. If you don't do it, and then you wait like an extra 6 or 3 months, man, you're gonna start to see a difference. And I
think it's important to like, and this may be harder for like people that have been in relationships for years, but definitely the older I get, I realize like there are things I'm not going to give up. Like you have your set of important things where it's like this comes with me or you don't have me at all. So I'm letting you know that now. Yeah. Like I want to do like risque type of whatever. And that's important to me. This is why. Is that okay with you? Yes or no? No? Okay. Well, we had fun.
Exactly. But not many people are grown to that level
or transparent as such.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think it's
people
important.
fear rejection. People fear rejection, and because they're afraid that other person's going to be no, and they don't do it. And they compromise, and then they end up
the loneliness, or maybe they think that if it being in a relationship, you need to sacrifice a piece of you.
I mean, you definitely need to sacrifice, but I don't think you need to sacrifice who you are. You shouldn't have to sacrifice who you are. You should just, you're going to definitely have to sacrifice in terms of like their needs are probably going to come first at times, or, like you won't have to completely eliminate risque stuff, but maybe like you have to go to dinner with the parents, and cancel that one session or whatever the case may be. Like that's what I think.
Balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some they don't want to even bring that up, and that's when that gets risky. And then you find out you go through a relationship for like a year, and then you all of a sudden you find out that is an issue. And it's like if you would have just, like you said, from the beginning or whatever, like made your standards, then it wouldn't happen. But people are afraid. People are like, oh, I'm gonna wait, like.
They'll change, and it's just like, oh my God.
I'll slide that in somewhere.
Right? And it's like, just say you had a problem with it in the beginning. Like, I'm a photographer that takes pictures with a lot of female. There's a lot of women in general. And whatever theme it is. And my shoots aren't dictated by who I'm with. So it's like I'm shooting these things regardless. So then I had a few people I was dating, they had issues with it. I'm like, I guess we can't date. Because if I do this for work and then you feel some type of way, and there's always going to be a problem. Yeah. So why not? Why put yourself in that situation? Yeah.
And that's like a perfect thing. Like, there's no way you're giving that up, nor should you.
Exactly.
You should be able, to find someone that is secure and trusts you enough to know that nothing's gonna transpire. This is what I love to do. That's why I'm doing it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Are you trying
Fuck
to
my
click it
gunshots.
It's random.
fucking gunshots weren't working.
Oh
No,
my God.
you said something gunshot worthy. But yo, I could see you having a podcast. You would drop gems. I could see you having a podcast.
I feel like it's fun. It's definitely fun, like sitting here, right, and talking. But like watching you guys set up prior to this, I'm like, no.
Well, this is just
and you just saw the
us,
last 5 minutes.
right?
Yeah, right. Like, and you guys know what you're doing, you know. Like,
Thank you.
And it's like, you know, a business and stuff. I don't feel like doing that.
Oh yeah, no, it's not gonna lie, yeah, it's work.
Yeah, of
Like,
course.
it's
We
Of
make it look
course.
easy, but it is work. But I
Yeah.
think maybe doing like story stuff for you on your IG and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Just doing that shows people that you're more human. I try to do more humane things and just
Humane.
show people humane things, because I feel like there's a lot of things that feels robotic, and we're not robots.
Yeah.
Y'all niggas worship him.
but it's just like I try to add, like, say for example, I created a creature of a identity in my
Hold on.
images.
We got a call in. My bad.
Wait.
Hello?
Hey,
You're live on the podcast.
I'm live on the podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
Say what's up.
Okay.
Say what's up to the people.
What's up to the people? How are you, people? I'm talking to Joe's dad here. How you doing?
We are good. So I could call you back
All right.
once we're done.
Call me back. Enjoy yourselves. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving. Joe, I'll talk to you later. Love you.
All right. Love you too.
All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye.
You call a second time. Got to make sure everything's out.
That was adorable.
So I forgot what I was saying.
About the.
You were creating a monster?
Yeah,
Yes.
I was creating
A creature.
a
Yes,
creature.
creature.
I was creating a creature identity. So when I do that, I give them a sense of humanity, of like, just like, yeah, they're a monster, but then they have human personalities about them, humane
Traits.
personality, human traits about them, and that's pretty much the goal that I've been kind of incorporating. Because, and then I see that in social media too. It's just like, yeah, you could post vloggers. Let's talk about that for a second. Vloggers put out. I realized this because I almost fell in the same trap, and that's why it took me a minute to actually put stuff out. Is because you create a persona that is fake by default.
Yeah.
It's like the three faces, you put out that face for the public,
Yeah.
and that's like an automatic. Like, everything needs to be a certain way, a certain identity and whatnot.
Yeah.
Especially how you greet. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Blah, blah. Like, sometimes you're not always happy, but you never, for business purposes, you never show people, I'm not feeling all right today.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep on pushing through.
I have a good one for you for that. I had a client in passing, like in one of our groups with eating disorders, and she had probably over like 100,000 to 200,000 followers for like nutritional eating, things like that. And, you know, everyone was making these like recipes and stuff. And I remember her saying to me, and, you know, in the group, she goes, it's funny. You know, people would never know that after I post these like pretty like looking like meals and stuff like that I went in the bathroom and I threw it up after. It's like you don't know all the time who you're following, and you know, especially for young people and even, you know, people our age, we're idolizing people that we have no idea who they are, what their lives are on. You know, we're just like following on social media and we think their lives are so great, but we don't know. We don't know if they're in pain. We don't know if they're doing that. Like, who knows?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And only very few of them are very transparent.
Very few are transparent. So
Yeah.
then when I started, I was like, wait a minute, I already know that they definitely not showing who their true self is. So why would I put myself through that? Because I would actually feel sick posting something of me, oh, hey, blah, blah, and then that's not me, because I'm going to look at it myself and be like, that's not me.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
So, and now to do that multiple times, it's just like I wasn't able to do it. That's why it's difficult for me to put stuff out. It's like, well, I'm going to just put stuff out. Like, I found it better for me. It's like, I could explain to you. I could teach you. Then I feel like that's my rawest form of being who I am, opposed to creating content like, oh yeah, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna vlog and then go over here.
Yeah.
Because if they actually see what it really looks like, then it's like that's a part that I don't want people to see.
Well, you know what's also interesting is that there's an other end to it, right? So the viewer doesn't think that that's like fun. to follow or to watch. You know, why I'm already sad. Why do I want to see someone else sad?
Exactly.
Unfollow. You know what I mean?
And that's where that niche of why you watch things that are happy and bright and colorful. You like to be around those things. So why would you want to be things dinky and bland and blah blah? Like you ever? All right, prime example. We all go to family reunions and cookouts, and people have food, and it might not be the most colorful, but it tastes amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. It might not be looking like the thing you see on TV and whatnot,
Right.
but when you eat it, it's good. Exactly, and you know we judge a book by its cover. You know what I'm saying? Just because it lacks in color and saturation and vividness doesn't mean that it's a, you know. I know people who they look like they can't tell a joke for their life, but they're the funniest people in the world. But they look at a distance like, oh no, they don't look funny and whatnot, but they're hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, that just all goes down to just judgment and how we just
Exactly.
you know, there's a lot of very judgmental people. Some people judge on all different levels.
And that brings me to why it's difficult to be in a relationship and to show someone that you're unhappy.
Yeah.
Because you're creating that
Right.
vlog relationship persona.
Well,
you know?
I definitely think too, like if you're gonna be with someone for the rest of your life, you should be able to express yourself. And there is definitely, out of the billions of people in the world, someone that is going to accept you for who you are. That may be blind optimism. I'm completely fine with that, but I like to believe in like the greater good of people and believe that you can, you know, you just need to find that person.
Nah, it's true. They're out there.
Yeah.
You know
Not
what I mean?
everyone's chasing authenticity, but you know, you find your group. Like just talking about Friendsgiving, right?
Yeah.
That's your group. Those are the people you feel like you can be yourself with. Why can't you find like, you know, a girl or a guy that's gonna give you the same thing?
Exactly.
And you can, but you know, people get comfortable and they get impatient. You know.
And
But-
yeah, it's the
a lot of different things.
impatience that lead. But even so, I think people should just wait. If you know find someone that you know that you could be transparent with and whatnot, and they won't kind of like make you feel little, and that's just universal.
Yeah. And that's hard though too. And now I'll give you like a woman thing, right?
Yeah.
Being a single woman, especially like I'm going to be 30 in May. It's like, so why aren't you married? You know,
Yeah.
is there something wrong? I remember one time my uncle asking me a couple of years ago, you know, if you're a lesbian, it's okay. Like, just let us know, because I didn't bring a guy to the party. And it's like, you know, if I was and I was insecure about coming out, that's not the way to get me to come out.
Right.
But
Of
it's
course.
like, you know, I have to be something else. I can't possibly be myself and be single. You know what I mean? So then you get that kind of like, you feel bad. You feel bad for like being who you are and in this world living whatever life, whether it's with someone or not.
Yeah, like you can't even be an individual for X amount of years without you're like, why aren't you having kids? Why aren't you married?
Yeah.
And one of my friends, they have the issue now where they feel like they're so old that they're not gonna have kids.
Right.
And it's not that they want, oh, I'm too old, I'm not gonna have kids, and blah blah. And I'm supposed to be married, and it's just like going through their head. I'm like, why the fuck does that matter? Are you happy now doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And also, like, if you weren't as strong as you are and grown too, a lot of people, that can affect a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Like that statement,
yeah.
like if you don't know, like, because a lot of times people will just compromise. You know what I mean? And they'll get a boyfriend or somebody just to settle and to make everyone else happy. But it's like, nah, like at the end of the day, we all got to know, you know, our standards.
Yeah.
And it also shouldn't be that difficult. You know, a relationship, like I always say on here, a relationship shouldn't be that hard. It should flow. You know what I mean? Just like how you're friends. Like, you know, you have a best friend. You know? Like, it should be that organic.
Mm-hmm.
But people end up compromising.
Yeah, I mean, and I've even been in that place where it's like, okay, like it is my, you know, should I just, is this the best like I can do? You know, should I just go with it? Like maybe that's just life. You know what I mean? Because you're like, I don't want to be seen as this like person, like, you know, you start to feel bad about yourself. And then too, like, I know this is an issue like in terms of like pregnancy and women. Like I have one best friend that doesn't want to have a kid. You know, she genuinely doesn't want that, and everyone's saying, oh, you'll change your mind, or why?
That's one of the number one things I've noticed is like, oh, women, like, they're like, oh, you have to have a kid, or it's like, and then people who say they don't want any kids, they're like, oh, why didn't you want any kids? And they did. I used to do that. I used to be that one that'd be like, oh, why don't you want? Not that I would say that, but I would feel like, why don't you want to have any kids and whatnot, and this, that, and third. Then I realized something. Why would someone who doesn't want to have kids should have kids?
Yeah.
Because then what ends up happening?
It's
That
not-
transfers
yeah.
that I
Good.
don't
Yeah.
want you. And I've seen that in person, not through me, because my mom, she wanted me. It's just that I seen other people with their kids, and they're like, oh, they didn't want to have kids. Or the person that passed away, they want to have kids, but then they didn't. And then now they have to deal with that kid, and then they start to reflect on, I didn't want you.
Yeah.
And that, I'm like, that shit hurts.
It was
Yeah.
it's, well, because that's another thing. Children is just like one of those things, those fairy tale things that we were all taught that everyone should have, like a house. Like you have to have the house. You
Yeah.
have to have the white picket fence. You gotta have like all that. You have to have the degree. You gotta have this. You gotta have that. And it's like, yo, we thank God we've grown now, and I think a lot of people can agree. Like, no, we don't need all that. You know what I mean? Like, it's whatever make us happy. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, you don't need to have these things. So, like, yo, if your friend, whoever, like, they don't want to have kids, like, you don't have to have kids. Not everybody's supposed to be a mother. You know what I mean? Not everyone's made to be a father or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we should never let the society or the people around us, try to do that to us. But that's why we got to always focus on ourselves. Like you said, heal, growth, all that type of stuff, self-assessment, to try to figure out who you are, and then to have that confidence and to believe in that once you know who you really are. So you don't let these other people out here just try to talk you into doing stupid shit.
There it is.
Yes. But this was a dope episode. Yo, this fucking thing is hate. I'm throwing this cable out. The second we
I'll
are
help
done.
you.
Yes. And it's never act up to until this fucking week. But whatever. It's been fun. Did you have a fun time?
Yes, I did. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you,
No
AJ,
problem.
for coming through.
Yes.
You gotta get the air for us. Bam.
Word. This was real. This was dope. To any of our listeners, you could be watching us if you're listening. All right. Just go to the YouTube. All right. Subscribe. We're trying to build this channel up. That's the mission right now, is building that YouTube up, because me and this guy got some fire coming your way. Coming your way. All right. In the spring. Like, you're not ready. And there's a good chance that it's going to be going on YouTube. You never know. So if you can, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got a lot of stuff going on there. Also, thinking about some Black Friday deals, man. What do you think? Hook some people up with some Black Friday deals with the merch?
Yeah, I think so.
Word. Thinking, what do you think? How much percentage off?
Um,
I'm going to leave it up to him.
I got you. I say 15%.
15?
Nah,
Nah, all right, fuck that. I'm leaving it up to me. We need more than that, all right? I'll give you 25. 25% off for the Black Friday for the merch. Get yourself some therapy hoodie, all that type of stuff.
Why not 30% since we're 30?
Fuck it, 30%.
30% off.
I like odd numbers.
So?
I was gonna just do 50%. Fuck it.
Nah, 30% because we're 30, man. It's a special. We're only 31s. Give them 30%.
All right, 30%. So 30% off for the Black Friday special. Also, remember, you could always get your free audiobook at audibletrial.com/therapy without a degree. Do you do social media and stuff like that? Could they follow you on there?
Yeah, it's at AJ McStay, MCSTAY.
Fire. Where are you at? Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
Dope. Twitter or no?
Mm-mm.
You don't do Twitter?
Randomly.
Yeah, I gotta get into it though, because Twitter's like super underrated. I gotta try to get into
Yeah,
it.
it is.
It's really popular though, but I think it's weird because when I go on, I'm like, nah.
I think honestly, if you just put your thoughts out, you just gotta be. You have to put your thoughts out, but you also gotta censor your thoughts while you put it out.
Yeah, no.
You see what I'm
don't
saying?
Have,
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to
have the
censor
time
it.
for that.
And that's why it's tough for me to say. Like, damn, I'm be saying some wild stuff.
Hey, if they take it off, they take it off.
No,
Just say it.
no, they'll leave it on.
Yeah, and then
Oh,
you'll
yeah.
get comments like,
Exactly.
Yeah, nah, you gotta be
Years
careful.
later, because there's people who got canceled for saying they probably
Yo,
eat
we getting
hamburgers.
canceled in like 5 years. Once this podcast pops, we're gonna get canceled. There's probably some shit we've all said.
And be like, oh man,
Like, damn, Joe said it like this.
and then that's it. It only takes that one time.
whatever. We're here now.
Then that's when you create another podcast.
Exactly. Yes. Part 2.
Therapy with a degree.
Well, now, because then we'll have to have her be the host of it, and then we'll just be guests. We'll be changing everything all the way around. Yeah. No, I just give my unconventional barbershop style stuff. You know what I'm saying? But all right. Also, at the end of the show, we usually just recommend something you think is dope, something you think is slept on. Like if you read a book that you think is really, really dope, a TV show, a restaurant you went to, anything that you think maybe not many people know about, but they should. So,
the book, The Alchemist. I don't know.
I keep hearing about that, and I was like, I might as well read it.
Such a good book. Such a good book. It's one of those like classic ones too, and I think you'll actually like it because you know, like I'm not a reader. Like I'm not sitting there every day reading books, but I will read them randomly. I like this one.
what's it about?
So there's a lot of life meanings within this book, but there's also a lot of metaphors. So to give you one sentence about this book is really hard.
Okay.
I'm just going to tell you to read it.
But what you said, that sounds dope.
Essentially, it's a journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a journey, a lot of metaphors, a lot of life metaphors.
I do Audible. Not just, this isn't a second ad, but it could be. I do Audible, and I do audiobooks. So I'm gonna see if they have the audiobook one.
Yeah, do it.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, if you do, you know what to do.
Send it your way.
Send it my way.
Send it your way. Now, actually, you know what's funny? Speaking of books and all that type of stuff, I guess I'll give mine. I went on a roll with Audible because I had mad credits just sitting there because I pay for it every month, and it's just, you know, you could be getting a free month and a free book at audibletrial.com/therapy without a degree. But look, I went nuts, and I just got mad with different books. Like I finished a couple already, but I just went nuts. I got your book.
What, my book is in there?
Power Habit.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So the 2 I'm listening to right now, actually 3 I'm listening to, because I'm strange. Like I just have to like dibble and dabble. I get bored of things. You know what I'm saying? So like I take random walks with Princess. So the one walk of the day, I'll listen to one book, and then my night walk, I'll listen to a different one. So I'm listening to right now Living with the Monks by Jesse Itzler. And I've always heard about a lot of different books about people with monks and stuff. So I'm like, all right, let's just see how this goes. But Jesse Itzler is really, really dope. So far, it's pretty interesting. And I'm listening to Limitless by Jim Quick. Jim Quick is always dropping amazing gems every time he goes on this podcast that I watch, the Mental Health Show. So he has a book called Limitless. And then I'm listening to An End to Upside Down Thinking. Which, before you go, leads me to a question. What's your take on consciousness?
In terms of what?
Like, do you believe it's separate from the mind?
That is another hard, lengthy question.
Yeah.
And scientists you're either going to have a scientist that believes that it's connected or a scientist that believes that it's separate.
What do you believe?
I believe that it's connected because I don't know what it's like to not, have my mind activated and my consciousness still going.
Interesting. Isn't it very interesting?
It's hard. Yeah, that's a hard question.
Is it something that you're like curious to ever learn more about, or
well,
no?
you know what? I think it's an element of the brain. Like I was listening to you guys, one of your other podcasts, like a separateness between like the soul and the mind type of thing. I think that those two are separate, but I think the consciousness is, like a part of the mind in terms of like activation and stuff like that.
Activating the actual mind, but you believe the soul is separate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that moves from time to time. My theory is more like not the scientific version of it, but to me,
he's gonna go to space real quick. Right now.
Real quick,
right now.
No, but how I see it is because energy cannot be created or destroyed. If your soul is that energy, then where does it go when your vessel is destroyed, right? So I feel like it just kind of just stays around.
Definitely.
And then it just goes to next, and then it just grows and it goes to the next, like as time goes by.
And you can even think about like haunted places, right? Like I've even heard of like people going to like where the Holocaust concentration camps were and feeling like this impending sadness when they were there. And like I wonder if that has to do with like energy that's still there, you know?
Yeah.
And it's funny because there's no way that's like not a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if I told you to go in, like when you say a haunted house, if I never told you the house is haunted and then they walk in there and they get like chills and they just feel weird and the house looks perfectly fine, but it's haunted. But you don't tell anybody, the person would feel it before you say anything.
Yeah.
How do you explain that?
It's definitely I don't know if you heard on that episode where I mentioned about that study with the DNA. It's just, I think that's what it is. Like it's crazy that our existence and the human DNA has such, it's radical like that. Like it's crazy. So I mean, I would definitely believe it because it's almost the same thing. If that DNA is being affected and that DNA ends up on something else, when it's gonna stay affected. Like even after the person left, it affects that thing. It's just crazy. So, but if you're ever interested, you gotta read that book, The Upside Down Thinking. Just I think you would enjoy it. What do you got? What do you shout out for this week?
I'm gonna shout out two things. I'm gonna shout out. Let's see. I'm gonna shout out Joe.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out Joe for putting in work 4 years, changing people's lives, helping out with food drives and whatnot.
Thank you, sir.
And my girlfriend for dealing with my random antics.
Word.
And
Shout out to her.
Yep.
And with the therapy, you're on 2 years. You're on 2 years. So
It's been 2 years.
yes, you've been on 2 years. Actually, maybe a little bit more. No, almost. You're almost 2 years. You're almost 2 years. So you've had
Almost 2 years. You sure?
It was
We went to like 3 events. How was that?
March 2018.
March 20. Why has it been 2 years?
Oh wait, no, it's 2.5. 2.5.
I was about
Okay.
to
2.5, yeah,
Yeah,
it's March
I was like,
20.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No, but we've done more than that. We've done a lot of events. We've done the art therapy.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, we did.
So it's gonna be about 3 years soon.
Yeah.
Look at that.
we keeping Zain busy out here.
Word.
The word. All right, people. Remember, subscribe to the YouTube. Other than that, we probably forgot something, but it's all good. Also, new Instagram account. You can follow Therapy the Series. So, Therapy the Series. It's for an upcoming TV show that we are working on. Check it out.
And also check out I Am Zain Studios. I'm gonna keep
Yes.
dropping this every single
Of
episode.
course.
I Am Zain Studios on Instagram and I Am Zain Magazine on Instagram and Twitter.
Yes. Follow them both. Yo, it's been fun.
Yes.
It's been
Been
real.
a lot of fun.
Awesome.
All right, people. See you later. It's been real.